One version of Nefertiti's official portrait. She may herself have signed off on this image.
Revealing the dark truth. Queen Nefertiti's gruesome execution. The discovery of Nefertiti's stunning bust in 1912 brought the Egyptian queen to the attention of people all over the world. But how much do we know about the wife of King Amenhotep IV, a pharaoh also recognized as Akhenaten? What theories encompass Nefertiti's life, execution, and accomplishments, including the pivotal question, was she a pharaoh? Join us as we reveal the dark truth, Queen Nefertiti's gruesome execution. The sole aspect we know about Nefertiti with certainty is that she was the pharaoh Akhenaten's wife. Beyond that, we can only assert what Nefertiti was not. She wasn't a royal princess because among her numerous titles, the designation of king's daughter is absent. We are also aware that she wasn't Akhenaten's sister, even though several Egyptian pharaohs did espouse their sisters. There exist diverse possibilities, and the one that we tend to lead towards is that she was a first cousin of the king. On the king's maternal side, there exists an entire dynasty of military officials who appear to have consistently married into the royal family. The late 14th century BC marked an exceptionally intriguing period both in Egypt and more broadly across the ancient world. Nefertiti's spouse Akhenaten makes the radical decision to upheave Egyptian religion and start anew, essentially constructing faith around a singular sun god known as Aten. It signifies as a year zero, or in modern terms, a cultural revolution. Various myths are prevalent, some of which envelops her origins. Certain accounts have insisted that she was a royal princess, or attempts have been made to label her as a foreign princess due to the meaning of her name. The beautiful woman has arrived. Some have exaggerated this aspect when in reality, it's a quite common Egyptian name for that era. Beyond these points, until relatively recently, Nefertiti had been perceived mostly as an enigma. The exquisite bust discovered in 1912 has transformed her into an international glamour puss, overshadowing her identity as an individual with thoughts and influence. It's only in recent years that we've commenced recognizing that there was substantially more to her, and that her journey extended beyond being merely a king's wife. During her tenure as Akhenaten's consort, Nefertiti is depicted engaging in the act of smiting Egypt's adversaries, a role that remains unparalleled for any other queen of Egypt. Additionally, she graces the corners of her husband's sarcophagus, a departure from the customary figures of the traditional goddesses of the afterlife, typically occupying that position. Even in life, she transitions into the role of a deity associated with the deceased. Clearly, she commanded immense reverence and esteem. Going beyond this, it has now become evident that Nefertiti didn't meet her demise as Akhenaten's queen, as was once believed. Instead, she outlived him and ascended to the position of a fully fledged female pharaoh, joining the small cadre of such remarkable women who have emerged throughout history. Was it without precedent for a woman to attain such a high-ranking status? Are there additional instances of female pharaohs or monarchs? Indeed, there are a few instances. The earliest of these is a few centuries prior, involving a woman named Sobekneferu. She appears to be the daughter of King Amenhotep III from the 12th Egyptian dynasty, who seemingly had no male successors. Sobekneferu assumed the mantle of the first female pharaoh due to the absence of a male heir. Subsequently, within the 18th dynasty, there emerged a figure named Hatshepsut, who initially served as a regent for the young King Thutmose III. Roughly 7 years into Thutmose III's reign, just as he is on the brink of reaching an age suitable for the sole role, Hatshepsut proclaims herself as a female pharaoh and governs alongside him for a period. From my perspective, the only other recorded female pharaoh emerged several centuries after Nefertiti, known as Tasret. Initially acting as regent for a youthful king, when the young king unexpectedly and potentially suspiciously passes away, she perseveres in her role as a female pharaoh, continuing his reign. While ruling in conjunction with an underage king, she undertakes the complete responsibilities of a pharaoh. We must acknowledge that the notion of Nefertiti and Tutankhamun co-ruling is not universally embraced. Some maintain that she reigned as a female pharaoh independently for a stretch before Tutankhamun assumed his rule. Nevertheless, we find it more plausible to interpret it as a shared rule. In this context, she engages in the full spectrum of pharaonic duties, spanning foreign policies to domestic affairs. We possess a high degree of certainty regarding Tutankhamun's parentage, identified Akhenaten as his father. There exists an inscription in which Tutankhamun, as a prince, designates himself as a king's son, within a context where no other parentage can be feasibly attributed to him. Nonetheless, the prevailing consensus leans towards this interpretation. We are aware that Akhenaten had two wives, Nefertiti and a woman named Kaya. Numerous depictions portray Nefertiti alongside as many as 6 daughters but no sons. Based on this, assertions have been made that Kaya must be his mother. This assumption has been presented as fact in numerous texts and televised programs. However, a complication arises from the fact that we possess depictions of Kaya with her child, who's a daughter. There exists no indication of her with anyone other than this lone daughter. Therefore, if one refutes the possibility of Nefertiti being Tutankhamun's mother due to a lack of depictions depicting them together, the same line of reasoning must be applied to Kaya. So how was Nefertiti's renowned bust discovered? Between 1905 and 1914, a German archaeological team conducted excavations at Amarna, the city that Akhenaten established during his reign. This city was constructed from the ground up in a remote location. Among the various structures unearthed there, the team discovered the residence and workshop of a sculptor. The city was abandoned during the transition from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun, with the populace seemingly moving away. The sculptor left behind a workshop filled with sculptures representing individuals who had passed away or fallen from favor. The workshop remained unseen until 1912. Within it, a wealth of artifacts and artworks were found, with the most astonishing discovery being the bust of Nefertiti. This particular sculpture was clearly intended as the definitive portrayal of the queen for use within the workshop, distinct from being part of a larger statue. It stood as a freestanding bust, an unusual departure from the norms of Egyptian art. Additionally, within the same room, albeit broken due to falling from a shelf, was a similar bust of Akhenaten. It's important to recognize that much of our understanding of Egyptian history is constructed from fragmented information, and a single small discovery can yield significant implications. Initially, we were aware of a co-ruler who governed alongside Akhenaten and persisted after his death. However, all available evidence suggested that this individual was male. Over time, hints emerged that challenged this assumption. One depiction depicted Akhenaten and this co-ruler in an intimate context, leading some to speculate that they might have been a same-sex couple. Ultimately, a few years ago, a French colleague meticulously examined jewelry recovered from Tutankhamun's tomb, originally crafted for Akhenaten's co-ruler. He observed that the name, though overwritten by Tutankhamun, still revealed an epithet, beneficial for her husband. Once this epithet was linked to Akhenaten's co-ruler, it became evident that this must be a reference to a woman. We eventually came to realize that the issue lay in the coexistence of a male co-ruler named Smenkhare and a female co-ruler named Nefertiti. Nefertiti is highly probable, about 99% certain, to be Nefertiti herself. It seems she abbreviated her name upon assuming the role of a female king, transitioning from Nefertiti to Nefertiti. This revelation occurred during a conference with the new interpretation of the name, along with the epithet was presented, causing an immediate shift in perspective. The circumstances of Nefertiti's demise and the conclusion of her life are subjects of discussion. If some of us are accurate in identifying the mummy of Nefertiti as the younger lady discovered in tomb KV35, an aspect still under significant debate, her death would have been a dreadful one. It seems she suffered a severe blow to her face, resulting in the fracturing of numerous bones. Such a substantial trauma would have caused substantial blood loss and a swift demise. Given this information, along with the fact that she wasn't accorded burial as a female pharaoh, it implies that Nefertiti's efforts to reconcile the reforms initiated by her husband and the subsequent revolution were unsuccessful. While it's conceivable her death was accidental, the circumstances appear rather improbable. As we move through history, it's important to remember the past if we want to make a more fair future. Hey, don't miss our next video. Please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and press the bell icon for more updates.